Fellow tennis nerds, I hope all is well. You might not have heard of Heysil rackets, but I've done several reviews on this channel before. They are kind of raw, blacked out frames made by master racket technician Jeffrey He, who's been on my podcast. He knows a lot about rackets, and if you have your own customization desires, he can also make that happen. You check them out on heysil.com. Use the code tennisnerd10 for 10% off. But what is the Heysil Tour 98? It is a control racket that's going to compete with frames like Solinco Whiteout, Wilson Blade 98, Head Radical, blah, Pure Strike, and so on. This is definitely more controlled than the Pure Strike. Kind of a thin beam towards 22 millimeters. 16-19 pattern, that's the new thing here. I did review the 98-18-20 before. Quite a demanding frame, but nice feel. These are very raw in sensation, high modulus, carbon, all that stuff that all manufacturers talk about, but there's no dampening technology, there's no funky stuff happening. It's just like a solid frame graphite racket, blacked out. If I could have a wish for the cosmetic, it would be that it's glossy blacked out. I think it would look even better than matte blacked out, but a blacked out frame is always kind of nice to look at. They come at a standard spec of around 300 grams, similar to like a Blade or Radical, but you can also get your custom spec, and I have one with the custom spec for me, which is pretty heavy, 350 grams, 32 centimeter balance, 330 swing weight. For this type of control racket, this is the spec I used to play with a lot, so I wanted to try that. And also the standard here. They have lead tape added on the sides, pre-added on the sides when you get them. They are also strung, and you get an overgrip and string with it, so that's kind of a nice package. What to talk about the playability? Well, it's what you can expect, like a raw graphite feel. I had no issues with discomfort, even at 53 pounds and 51 pounds crosses with the Heysil polyester strings. And I got great control, good sensation on impact, overall good playability of a frame. It's nothing stand out, exceptional, wow, but if you like a raw graphite frame and you don't like dampening, which I think there are too much of in some models, then the Heysil should be considered. It plays more like an old school Blade if you're a fan of those rackets. So definitely has an appeal for players looking for that raw feel, who are a bit fed up with all the dampening. But I do understand the dampening as well, because players have historically suffered a lot more and more with tennis elbow and wrist issues and shoulder issues. So obviously you want to take care of those vibrations, have a more muted plush feel. These are not super muted and plush, but they're not harsh either. And they play nicely. Sweet spot is decent. It's not super large. It's what to expect from a 16, 19, 98 string pattern, a little bit denser than, for example, the Solinco Whiteout, which had a more launch. This is more of a controlled launch angle, but still a bit more spin friendly than the other 98, the 18, 20. I'm a big fan of the Heysil Tour 100. I think this is probably their best frame. I would love that in a dense string pattern. But if you're into really controlled frames and you like old school Blade rackets, this one should be tried, because I got the precision I wanted. I got good sensation and feel. You're not going to get loads of power for free. You have to bring your own game. So it's definitely more for players of the kind of old school feeling frame, who wants that, who wants the blacked out. No frills, no dampening tech, no yada 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 marketing jargons. Also price point very competitive, so I think this is also a benefit. And check them out. I'm not sure about the worldwide shipping. I guess they offer that. So Jeffrey, maybe you can comment on that. But overall, I'm happy playing with these frames. And the 16-19 is definitely easier to use than the 18-20. Another player on the market that creates good rackets. There's so many rackets to choose from. I understand you get lost in the racket jungle. We have loads of resources, reviews, videos, etc. to help you out of the jungle of rackets, because it can be very frustrating. So check out the Tennis Nerd Guide to Gear on tennisnerd.net. We also have a consultation service, different videos for members, for example. If you go to YouTube, you can join and become a member. Just click the link in the description. Hopefully something that can help you find the right racket. I know in 2025 there have been so many rackets already just coming your way, and it's tough to choose. But the most direct and raw one of the ones I've tried early in the year is the Heysil one. That brings me back to the good old days of not too much dampening going on. But it is a demanding frame, so keep that in mind. It's not going to be the easiest one to use. If you're playing with the standard spec, I would string it a bit lower, maybe 49 pounds with a shaped poly, or even lower than that, to give you a bit more help and lift on the ball. That's it. Have a nice day, and don't forget to play some tennis.